These are the books I read in the second half of 2024 and my takes on them. Hope you enjoy. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I've long refused reading the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin, not because I doubt their quality, but because it's been a million years since he released the last book and he's got 2 to go. Frankly, I don't think he'll finish the series before he dies, and I'm not starting a book series with such a large time investment that will never be finished. So, at the recommendation of a friend, I started a different one of his book series that will also never be finished, but at least these books are shorter. I really enjoyed them. They are short bits of fiction that will leave you wanting more, which you will probably never get. Berserk. I bought the first one of these on a whim because I've heard it was fantastic. And it was fantastic. I've now read 38 volumes. It's incredibly dark from the very start, and that only gets worse as it goes along, but God is it compelling. It explores questions of free will versus determinism, vengeance and its costs, do ends ever justify the means, and of profound loss and trauma and what it can do to a person. It's amazing. Don't read it if you're a sensitive person because some of its imagery can be quite heavy, but if you've got the stomach for that kind of thing, it's well worth a try. Unfortunately, the author passed away recently, so I can only hope that those continuing Berserk will live up to his legacy, because I'm excited to see how it ends. Ender's Game. I don't have a huge deal to say about this book. I really liked it and finished it very quickly. I would have listened to the rest of the series by now if they were available on Spotify as this was. It's great, and if you want to get your kids or teens into sci-fi, it's a great place to start. Hillbilly Elegy. I read J.D. Vance's memoir, as well as listening to his appearance on Eric Weinstein's podcast when he was announced as Trump's running mate. I thought it was prudent to see what the man was like outside the political context. This was before the election, and well, they won, so it looks like I was right to find out more about him. The book was pretty good. It was mainly about his life, but gave some insights into why poor whites are struggling in America. It discussed ACE scores, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and how many of the people in his community score very highly, which can cause problems as an adult. He also talked about his experience in law school and how many poor people struggle in such environments because they don't know the social cues of the wealthy. An example given in the book was his bafflement of there being different spoons on the table for different foods. I think this book is worth a read off its own merit, but if that isn't enough, well, he's going to be vice president for the next 4 years, and I imagine the Republican nominee after that, so it makes sense to learn about the guy. Waking Up by Sam Harris. A well-known atheist, one of the 4 horsemen in fact, Sam Harris attempts to take on spirituality without religion in this book. I can tell you truthfully that this book has had an impact on me. I'm not sure if it lines up one-to-one with what it says in the text, but since reading it I've been undergoing the practice of whenever a bad or embarrassing memory pops up in my head, I acknowledge that it's just a thought, decide I don't want to use my time thinking about it, and let it float away to the right side of me as if it is a boat on the ocean, observing it bobbing away in the distance. I understand that this sounds stupid, but as the old adage goes, if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. I rarely have these memories attend to me again. Altered Carbon. I'm a big fan of the cyberpunk genre. This started with Cyberpunk 2077 as I love The Witcher 3, so I wanted to play CD Projekt Red's next game. It evolved into me watching the Cyberpunk Edgerunners show and then moving on to books from the genre. This was my first, but I'm sure it won't be my last. I quite like this book. It posed interesting questions about personhood. Are our bodies anything more than meat vehicles our minds ride in? Are our minds anything more than a multitude of organic lines of code able to be copied and exported? I hope not, but I suppose my desires have little impact on the truth. It also discussed how lengthened lives may make the subject cold and unfeeling towards their shorter-lived brethren, which I thought an interesting take. The machine age of AGI is fast approaching, and I think the cyberpunk genre is one that explores some of the consequences that come with that. I would urge you to read some.